Okay, so welcome to Come Back number 2. I'm your host, James Williams Jr. Check it out. So, in the first video, I talked about parking lot racism. Now I want to talk about parking lot blindness. Okay, so I posted a video on my Facebook page. I don't know how much cussing I did in it, so if I did cuss, I'm sorry. It was live. You can't undo live. It was the one where I blew my nose. On my way to the car, I was already having a rough ass day as it was, but on my way to the car, I had to stop short because people who pull into the parking spot can't always see to back out. Now, I'm not even really angry about that factor, alright? I just want to make people more aware that when you back into your parking spot, you have a better chance of seeing people and fellow students when you're pulling out of the parking spot, which was the main thing of my video. And this video will probably have a little bit more in depth on why you should back in. Okay, look, everybody drives differently. We got that established. There's no right or wrong way to drive outside of following the law. Parking etiquette is a whole nother matter. We all have our preference. Some of us prefer to pull in and back out. Some of us prefer to back in and pull out. So let's do some pros and cons. And then there's that third option where you're in a parking lot like a mall where you can just drive straight through if there's no other car or obstruction in your way, like the street lamp or something like that. And if there is a street lamp and your car's small enough, like one of those 4.2s or 4Us or whatever the hell that shit's called, those really tiny little bucket cars. I want one of those, by the way, just to say I have one. It's basically a supersized golf cart with some speed. Anyway, I want that, but that's not here or there. If you have good driving skills, you can probably drive anywhere. All right. So the thing is, here's a pro. When you back in, you use the lines and the mirrors, and some people, honestly, in their defense, just can't back up a car. All right. Which makes parking somewhat difficult for them. Which also makes getting out somewhat difficult for them. But, if you can back up a car and you can park it, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Just enough so that your car doesn't hit someone else's car when you open the door. You don't sideswipe their shit. That kind of thing. And I have a white car, so I can't sideswipe anybody because they'll be able to track my shit. So, if you're backing in, beep, 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 you can see everything. And that way, when you're leaving, if people happen to walk across the bow of your car, you'll be able to hit the brakes faster, but you won't have to because you will see them coming by. Now, that's a pro. Con, if you're not paying attention, whether you're backing up or pulling forward, you're going to run someone over and hurt them. Which is another reason why I generally back in, so that when I pull out, I have a better chance of seeing people in front of me, so that I don't have to worry about hurting them. And the whole point of me making that video was because of the simple fact that I almost got hit by a car. Now, I will say I have been hit by cars at least 4 times in my life. Alright? And most of the time, it was due to carelessness. 3 times, I might have been hit by a car more than that. I've had a couple of concussions, so my memory isn't 1,000% accurate. But 3 times for sure, I have been hit while on my bike, or at least 2.5 times, because I think the first time the taxi cab driver made me swerve because he didn't stop at the stop sign and almost made me crash into a pole. So if that counts, then it would be 3 times. But the 2 times after that, which I completely got hit, which I also mentioned in my video, I think I may have, I'm not sure. So I have to go back to Facebook and find it. But so one evening after work, I was riding home. It was the weekend that Sting and Hulk Hogan fought for the first time. I can't remember if it was like a certain pay-per-view or whatever, but that Sting, I think he won. I can't remember because it was him versus Hulk Hogan, the NWO, and all that other shit. It was a whole bunch of shit. I can't remember the exact event, but hell, the Stinger and Hulk Hogan, they tore the roof off the place. And the next day I went to work. On the way home, I was riding my bike. I had my grandmother's radio on. And I decided to do this number. No hands. So this van comes burling up the street. On the wrong side of the road, by the way. Up on Hartman's. And I grab my brakes on my mountain bike. And I slide. And I get hit. I bust a Power Ranger spin. I hit the ground. I spring back up like Agent 86 on Get Smart, shake it off, pick up my backpack, pick up my bike, jump on the bike, and go home. I'm good. You know, I'm a little shooken up, but I'm not like dead, you know. So that just means I'm tough as fuck, that's all. So I go home, the lady comes and checks on me, I'm good, and she's all scared that I'm going to sue her and everything, and the only thing I told her was it would probably behoove you to drive on the right side of the road. I said, in my defense, it probably would have been a smart move for me to keep my damn hands on the handlebars at all times. Which, by the way, after that, I have never rode without my hands on the handlebars. See, we both were at fault, and I owned the part that was my fault. I should have had my hands on the handlebar. That does not change the fact that, one, she was speeding, and two, she was on the wrong side of the fucking road. But I'm just as guilty because I'm Titanic in this shit. So yeah, it's just as much my fault. So, and it really, I didn't die, so we're blessed there. But it was a white van. It was a shiny white van. It was a GMC. And the reason why I remember that, it was either a GMC or a Chevy, because that was like the last thing I remember before flying head over foot into the air and landing on my back on the radio. So I got up, shook it up. The very next week at the same time, on a Monday, there was no pay-per-view the night before. But I'm riding my bike. I just passed Barrett Daycare Center. And a holy motherfucking warrior of God does not think that he has to follow man's laws. Boom! Smacks me on that same bike at the stop sign at Barrett Daycare Center. And down I go. And the worst part was, I didn't see it coming. Because I'm riding in the bike lane. You know, because in the bike lane, there was only one bike lane at the time. Now there's two on Cherry and 5th Street or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, if you make the left turn, you go to Elliott. If you make the right turn, you go down to Cherry. So I'm on that road. And if you keep straight, you'll wind up on 5th Street. Well, I'm riding the bike, just riding. Got my music on, got my little headphones, I'm just jamming. Didn't see out of my proverbial because I was looking forward. I only looked left one time, and that was to see the kids at Barrett Daycare Center. But I didn't see the big blue Cadillac that was barreling at me at about 30 miles an hour because I wasn't thinking about that Cadillac. I knew there was a stop sign there. I knew there was a stop sign there. I've walked that road many a times to know there's a damn stop sign there. So, and I never ride my bike the same way that I go to work. You know, I ride my bike through Cherry because it's a shortcut where when I come home, I want to see the sights on the way home. So I ride down West Main Street and wave at Sacagawea every damn day. But this day, I rode my bike the normal route home, not the normal route to work, and I'm just riding. See the kids, bam, see the concrete. And now I'm mad as hell. Because that's 2 Mondays in 1 month that I done got hit by somebody who decided that they were a little bit above the law. So, that Reverend Jesse Jackson, not the famous one, didn't stop at the stop sign. He did give me money to fix my bike, so I gotta give him credit because he did pay to fix the link in my bike, because amazingly enough, the only thing that was hurt was my bike and maybe my pride. My knee hurt for like a couple of days, but I was good. I wasn't like in major pain. My mom's a nurse, so she took care of me. But what she did was rice. You know, not the shit you eat. Rest, ice, compression, whatever the fuck the E means, elevation. So that's pretty much what that was. I did that for like a couple of hours. Tuesday, back down Cherry Avenue, back down West Main Street, back down 5th Street. But this time I'm walking because my bike's fucked up. So I did call him. He did give me money. I took my bike to the guy who does bikes at the time, right up the hill. Hong Kong China Tea is there now, but he was just down the hill on a little incline. And so he fixed my bike for $25, and after he heard the story, he fixed it for 10. So then he's like, how the hell do you get hit by a preacher? I said, man, that was a really bad joke from God. And him and I got a good laugh off of that. But the point of it, which is why I added this to the parking lot thing, was because I've been hit by a car walking as well. I was walking from the university, and I've been hit walking at least 3 times by the university and by students. So I was walking. I think I had either got stuff set to film a movie or something, and this dude with his Jeep at the bank that's right there where they have the crosswalk, I was on that side of the street, and he hit me into the street. Because I was in the crosswalk, and he hit me out the crosswalk. And luckily, there wasn't another car coming, and he checked on me. I didn't go down. I just like, boom. You know, I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? And he's like, I'm sorry, man. I didn't see you. I was like, no shit, you didn't see me. I'm not that fucking short, though. He was in a fucking Jeep Renegade, so he might not have saw me. Because I am just that fucking short. I'm only 5'3" and a half, if you want to count that half. But he did apologize. He wanted to make sure I was okay and everything. He got out, and he hit me with the old famous Eddie Murphy white voice. Well, son, you know, I'm really sorry. But he was like younger than me, and he was talking, yeah, man, son, I'm really sorry about that, man. You know, I really didn't see you right there. I was like, well, maybe you should have been paying attention to me instead of all these chicks. He said, well, maybe you should have been paying attention to them chicks. And the only thing I come up with was, touche. But I had the right of way because I was in the damn crosswalk. So that ended that one. And then a couple other times I had got hit up there, which was like barely bumps. But that one was one of the big bumps that like threw me out of the crosswalk. But yeah, so when I was walking to my car today, I'm walking along and I have to stop because the car can't see me as I stop. They're still not sure if they want to back out or not. So I'm like, okay, I'm waving them and they're not moving. I take a step and wave some more, and then they finally come out. It's a pretty woman. She's smiling and I'm smiling. Her boyfriend's in the car and their girlfriend's in the back, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm waving them, and right then and there I thought to myself, this could have been real bad to get ran over top of by a Volkswagen Jetta. It might have been a Golf. Maybe it's a Jetta. They both were shaped the fucking same. But it was a Volkswagen. Either way you slice it. It was one of those funky I can't identify colors. So yeah. The whole point of this is that there are pros and cons to backing in and pulling into your parking spots. When you pull into a parking spot, unless you have a parking spot where you can drive clean through, which is what some people do, it's what I do. If I'm in a parking lot at the mall and I don't want to have to back out when I leave, then I pull all the way through. Now, if that's not available, then unless someone's trying to steal the spot that I'm in, I generally will back into a spot. Like, there's very few places that I go that I don't back into a spot. And the only thing that will stop me from backing into a spot is if there is no other spot and other people are coming in and I don't want them to steal the spot that I worked so hard to get. So we have to be careful when we're in vehicles, you know, because there are people out there. And just like everyone else, some of us be oblivious to everything else around you. Now, I didn't have my cell phone in my hand at the time, but, you know, I wanted to have my cell phone in my hand. But I have seen people get messed up with cell phones, and I have laughed at them. You know, the videos all over YouTube. People getting messed up. People driving their cars through stores because they were on cell phones. And I have decided two things. If my cell phone is in the car on the thing, then I can video and I can talk. It's kind of hard to look at the video when I'm looking at the road, but you get the gist. We all do it. But when I'm walking or in class or doing something, cell phone's off. When I'm in the car and the shit needs to be plugged up and charged, okay, there you go. But is that safe? Probably not. When I'm video while I'm driving, is that safe? Probably not. I still do it. I'm not the only one. A couple of people I follow on Instagram that are guilty of it too. But, you know, I'm very careful at what I do when I'm behind the wheel of that car. So when I park, I'm very careful. And I have a stick shift, so I have to check and double check my car. Because, you know, I have to make sure that e-brake's up. Just to make sure that my car doesn't roll into somebody else's shit. You know, my insurance isn't dirt cheap, but it's not fucking super highly expensive because I'm a great driver. I like to think I'm a great driver. So, you know, however you slice it, however you live, you know, you want to live your best life and all, but you want to do the right thing. Even when sometimes doing the right thing doesn't always work out. But when I'm walking through the parking lot, again, I'm 5'3" and a half. Sometimes people just can't see me. And it might not be the fact that they're back there and forth there, they just aren't paying attention. And I want you guys to be aware that this can happen to anybody, and that you should, above all else, pay attention to your surroundings. If you're going to pull into a parking lot, check your mirrors. If you have people in the back, make sure that they're your co-pilots and that they can actually see what's going on so that you don't accidentally run over top of somebody. And be mindful, even though you're in a college parking lot or any parking lot, that kids are magical. And they pop up out of nowhere just like fucking leprechauns. I'm James Williams Jr. It's Comfort Havoc number 2. Be seeing you.